The storm over planet Oronos came without warning. Dark clouds rolled across the metal sky, and strange thunder shook the ground like giant footsteps. Workers in the mining colony ran for shelter. Machines were shut down. Lights flickered. Everyone wanted to hide from the danger outside. Everyone except one mother. Ryla, a humble dragon with soft silver scales, walked slowly toward the old human workshop. Her steps were tired. Her wings dragged on the floor. She held her small son close to her chest, protecting him from the cold rain. The child, Kiro, shivered under her wing. His scales were cracked, and his eyes were dull from hunger. Ryla had no choice. She needed work today, no matter how dangerous it was outside. She had lost too many jobs before. Humans feared dragons. They said dragons made trouble, dragons were too big, dragons were dangerous. No one trusted them, but Ryla only wanted to feed her son Dot as she entered the workshop. She whispered to Kiro, "Stay close to me. Do not fear. We will get through this day." Inside, the workshop was dark and smelled of metal and oil. Strange machines stood in every corner, half broken, half alive. Sparks from old wires flashed like angry fireflies. Tools lay scattered across the tables. The storm outside made the metal walls tremble. A lone man worked there. Evan Cole, a human mechanic, stood under a bright lamp fixing a heavy engine. He had strong hands, tired eyes, and grease on his clothes. He worked alone, always alone. Other mechanics said he liked it that way. Evan was not afraid to work in dangerous storms. He said machines did not wait. Machines did not fear. He did not expect a dragon to walk in. When he heard claws scrape the floor, he turned fast. His heart almost stopped. A tall dragon mother stood in the shadows with her child. Ryla lowered her head politely and tried to look small, but dragons were never small. Evan froze for a second. Most humans would run. Many would shout for guards. But Evan only stared at her tired wings and the way she shielded her child. "Can I help you?" he asked carefully. Ryla spoke softly. "I came for work. If you still need a helper today, I will not cause trouble. My son will stay close to me." Kiro tried to hide behind her leg. He looked thin and scared. His cracked scales caught Evan's eye. Something was wrong with the child. He looked weak, too weak for a dragon. Before Evan could respond, the ground shook. A loud alarm suddenly screamed across the colony. Red lights flashed. The old workshop rattled as if something huge had fallen outside. Evan ran to the window and looked toward the mining field. His face turned pale. The drilling tower exploded. That's not good. Outside, flames danced like angry beasts. Black smoke rose into the sky. Pieces of metal crashed down like burning rain. Workers ran everywhere in fear. Ryla instinctively wrapped her wings around Kiro. "We should leave," she whispered, but Evan shook his head. "It's safer inside. The tower could fall. Stay close." Another explosion followed, stronger this time. The workshop ceiling groaned. A long crack formed across the wall. Dust rained from above. Evan grabbed tools and shouted, "Watch your step." Kiro held his mother tightly, trembling. Suddenly, a huge burning pipe, torn from the tower outside, flew through the air and smashed into the workshop wall. It cracked open the side of the room. Pieces of metal flew everywhere. A second pipe fell from above at the same time straight toward Kiro. Ryla screamed and rushed toward her son. Her claws scraped the floor. Her wings spread wide. But the falling metal was too fast. Evan saw the danger before she did. He jumped forward without thinking. His boots skidded on the floor. Sparks flew from the tools he knocked over. He reached out his arms toward the small dragon child. The pipe crashed down, the room filled with smoke and dust. The lamp swung violently. The metal floor shook under their feet. For several seconds, nothing could be seen. Only coughing breaths and the crackle of fire filled the air. When the dust slowly cleared, Evan was on the floor, holding Kiro tightly in his arms. The pipe had missed the child by inches. Rayla stood still, shocked. No human had ever done something like this for a dragon ever. The storm roared again outside, shaking the workshop, but Rayla only stared at Evan, unable to speak, her heart pounding with fear. And something new. Hope. The burning pipe stopped shaking on the floor, but Ryla's heart did not. She rushed forward as Evan slowly stood up with Kiro in his arms. The child clung to Evan's shirt, shaking and coughing. Too shocked to move, Rayla lowered her head until her nose touched Kiro's back. "My son, are you hurt? Please answer me," she whispered, her voice full of fear. Kiro looked up weakly. I'm okay, Mama." Only then did Rayla notice the human mechanic's arm still around her child. Evan Cole released him gently, making sure the child could stand. He wiped dust from Kiro's scales with the sleeve of his shirt, something no human ever dared to do to a dragon child. Rayla stared at him. Her eyes were wide, almost confused. Why would a human risk his life for her son? Evan took a step back, a little embarrassed under her intense gaze. "He was close to the falling pipe," he said. "Anyone would have done the same." Rayla knew that was not true. Many humans would have saved themselves first. Many had walked away from her family before. Many had been scared of her kind, even when she begged for help. But this human, he had moved without fear. Before she could thank him, another thunderous sound exploded outside. The ground shook again. More pieces of the mining tower were falling. Evan ran toward the broken wall to look outside. "This is getting worse," he said. "The tower might collapse. We need to move." Kiro coughed again. The movement made the cracks in his chest scales open slightly. Evan noticed the cracks once more, deep, dry, painful-looking lines. "That looks serious," he said with concern. "He needs food. And medicine." Rayla lowered her head in shame. "I know, but the colony gives us very little work. And when they do, we are paid last." Kiro whispered, "It's not Maima's fault." Evan felt something twist inside his chest. The child was trying to protect his mother even while he was weak. Suddenly, loud voices echoed from outside the workshop. "Search this area. The dragons caused the blast. They must be hiding. Don't let them escape." Rayla tensed. Her wings curled around Kiro. Fear ran through her body like cold fire. "They will take my son," she whispered. "They will blame us." Evan turned quickly. "You didn't cause the explosion." "But they will not believe me," Rayla replied. Evan reached for his tool belt. "Then we need to hide you both." The human's voice was calm, steady, nothing like the angry shouting outside. He led them through the dusty workshop, moving fast but quietly. Rayla walked low to avoid hitting pipes with her wings. Kiro followed close behind her leg, shaking. Evan pushed aside a large metal panel on the back wall. Behind it was a narrow tunnel, hidden from normal view. "Maintenance pathway," Evan said. "Guards don't know about it." Rayla peered inside. "Where does it lead?" "To the underground safe tunnels. And maybe a place where you can rest," Evan replied. Rayla hesitated. Why are you helping us?" Evan paused. For a moment, the storm outside seemed far away. "Because what they're saying is wrong. I fixed machines here for years. The drilling tower has been unstable for months. Management ignored my reports. They told me not to speak about it." Rayla blinked slowly. "So, humans caused the problem?" "Not all humans," Evan said. "Just the ones in charge. You didn't do anything." The sound of footsteps grew louder. The guards were getting closer. Rayla pushed Kiro toward the tunnel. "Go, my son," she whispered. "Stay hidden." Kiro crawled inside. Rayla started to follow him, but before she entered, she looked back at Evan. "You risk your job," she said softly. "You risk your life." Evan gave a small smile. Sometimes doing the right thing is risky. As soon as Rayla disappeared into the tunnel, the workshop door burst open. Guards stormed in with heavy boots and bright flashlights. Evan turned to face them, blocking their view of the tunnel. "Where are the dragons?" one guard demanded. Evan shrugged. "I'm alone." Storm knocked half the workshop down. "Maybe the dragons ran when things exploded." The guard narrowed his eyes. "We had reports they came here." "Well, your reports are wrong," Evan replied calmly. The guard stepped forward, testing him. "If we find out you hid them, you won't," Evan said, standing firm. After a tense moment, the guards left, cursing under their breath. Once they were gone, Evan let out a slow breath and turned back to the hidden tunnel. He whispered softly, "It's safe now." Rayla stepped out slowly with Kiro behind her. Her eyes softened as she looked at Evan, not with fear, but with something else. Trust. But the danger outside was still growing, and the tower was still falling. Something worse was coming. And Evan knew only one thing. He could not let this mother and child face it alone. The storm outside grew louder, thicker, and darker, as if the whole sky was breaking apart. The metal workshop vibrated with every boom. Rayla held Kiro close while Evan guided them deeper inside the old maintenance tunnel. The tunnel was tight and cold. Pipes lined the walls like long metal snakes. The floor was uneven. Drops of water fell rhythmically from cracked joints. Kiro walked slowly, leaning against his mother's leg. His small claws dragged on the metal floor. "Careful," Evan whispered. "Some parts of this tunnel are old." Rayla kept her wings tucked tight so they wouldn't hit the pipes. She turned her head slightly. "Where are we going?" "A safer place," Evan said. "But first, there's something I need to do." Rayla tilted her head. "What do you mean?" Evan took a breath before answering. "I need to fix the drilling tower." The tunnel fell silent except for the faint hum of distant machines. Rayla blinked. "Fix the tower? Now, in this storm?" "Yes," Evan replied. "If the tower collapses, the whole colony will be destroyed." The explosion outside was only the beginning. Rayla lowered her gaze. "But why do they blame us?" Evan clenched his jaw. "Because management doesn't want to admit their mistake. I reported the damaged parts weeks ago. I told them the tower needed repairs. They ignored me. They said I was exaggerating." Kiro looked up with tired eyes. "And now, they blame Mama?" "They blame whoever is easy to blame," Evan said quietly. Rayla felt anger rise inside her chest, but she kept her voice calm. "What do you need to fix it?" Evan stopped walking and turned toward a rusty metal door. He pointed at it. "Behind this door is my emergency kit. Inside it is everything we need, except one thing." "What thing?" Rayla asked. "A heat-resistant alloy seal." Evan wiped sweat from his forehead. "It's the only part that can hold the tower stable long enough for us to repair the rest." Rayla studied his expression. "Do you have it?" Evan shook his head. "No, the colony supplies refused to order it." The tunnel grew quieter. "Then how will you make it?" Rayla asked again. Evan looked at her gently. "Your fire." Rayla froze. "My fire?" "Yes," Evan said. "Dragon fire can melt metal stronger than anything humans have. If you can heat the broken part, we can reshape it." Kiro's small voice was barely a whisper. "But Mama's fire is weak." Evan's eyes softened. "I know. I saw the cracks in your scales, Kiro. You haven't eaten enough." Rayla lowered her head with guilt. "We barely get food rations. And I give mine to Kiro first." Evan placed a hand on the metal door. "Then we do this together. Rest for a moment. Eat this." He took out a small ration bar from his pocket and handed it to Ryla. She pushed it toward Kiro, but Evan gently stopped her. "No, this is for you," he said. "You need strength for your fire." Rayla stared at the ration bar. "I cannot take your food." "You can," Evan answered firmly. "And you will. It might save all of us." Rayla hesitated for a long moment, then finally took a small bite. Her eyes widened slightly. She had forgotten what a full mouthful of food felt like. Kiro watched her with a small smile. "Mama, you look stronger already." Rayla gently touched his cheek with her wing. "We will be okay, my son." Evan unlocked the rusty door and pushed it open. Inside was a small storage room filled with tools, wires, and strange metal pieces. A dim yellow bulb flickered above them, like it was struggling to stay alive. Evan took out several molds and heavy metal bars. He laid them on the floor. "Ryla, when I tell you, you will breathe fire here." Rayla looked uncertain. "I will try." "You won't try," Evan said softly. "You will do it. Not for me. Not for the colony. For Kiro. He needs a safe place to live. And this is how we get it." Ryla's eyes glowed faintly. Something inside her heart began to shift: fear, tiredness, shame. Slowly turning into determination, she stood stronger, steadier. Kiro held her wing with his small claws. "I believe in you, Mama." Rayla took a deep breath. Warm light filled her chest. Her wings opened wider. Her throat glowed with soft orange heat. Then with a quiet roar, she released her fire. The flames were not huge, but they were focused, controlled, and full of a mother's strength. They wrapped around the metal molds and heated them until they shimmered like stars. Evan worked beside her, shaping the glowing metal with careful hands. But then, loud footsteps echoed in the main workshop above them. Voices, angry voices. Ryla stopped breathing fire. Her ears lifted. Her tail tensed. Evan whispered, "They're back. And they're searching again." He turned toward Ryla and Kiro, his eyes sharp. "We don't have time. We finish this part now, or it's over for all of us." The metal mold still glowed faintly from Ryla's fire when the footsteps above grew louder. Dust fell from the ceiling. Someone dragged heavy boots across the workshop floor. Someone else shouted orders. "They're close," Evan whispered. "Too close." Rayla instinctively pulled Kiro behind her wing, her body rising slightly as if ready to fight or flee. Her breathing was heavy. She was tired from using her fire, but her spirit tightened like a coiled spring. Kiro held her tail with trembling claws. "Mama, please don't let them take me." "I won't," Ryla whispered, touching her nose to his forehead. Evan knelt beside the glowing metal. "We don't have time. The tower is falling faster now. If we don't finish the alloy piece, the whole colony may collapse." Rayla nodded, but he saw the fear in her eyes. Not fear for herself, fear for her son. Evan placed a hand on her wing. "Listen, you're strong enough. You already did more than anyone could ask." Rayla looked toward the tunnel entrance. "But the guards." "I'll deal with them," Evan said firmly. "You focus on the metal." Kiro tugged on Rayla's leg. "Mama, I believe in you." Rayla took a deep breath. She closed her eyes and gathered all the strength she had left, not from food or rest, but from her love for her child. She stepped closer to the metal molds. Her throat began glowing again, slowly building heat. At first it was weak, flickering like a dying candle. But then she remembered the way Evan jumped to save Kiro. How he stood against the guards. How he fed her his last ration so she could stand strong. Her fire rose, bright, fierce, powerful. This time, it wasn't just a flame, it was a mother's promise. Evan shielded his face from the heat, amazed. The metal bent under the fire's force. It softened, glowed red, then white. Evan moved fast, shaping it with heavy tools. Above them, the guards shouted again. "Check the workshop." Dragons were seen entering this area. "Break anything if you must. Find them." Evan gritted his teeth. He hammered the glowing metal again and again, forming the shape they needed. Sparks flew into the air like shooting stars. Ryla could feel her strength draining, but she refused to stop. Not now. Not when everything depended on her fire. Suddenly, loud banging shook the ceiling. The guards were hitting the floor panels, checking for hidden tunnels. Kiro jumped and hugged Ryla's leg. "Mama, they'll find us." Rayla stopped her fire for a moment, panting heavily. "We must hide. They will open the tunnel." Evan grabbed the half-finished alloy piece. "No, we're almost done. Just a bit more." Rayla looked weak, her wings trembling. She could barely breathe. I cannot." But Evan suddenly knelt in front of her, his voice calm but strong. "You are a mother," he said. "And no one is stronger than a mother protecting her child." Kiro's eyes filled with tears. "Mama, you can do it." Rayla lifted her head slowly. Bright orange light flickered in her throat once more. She steadied herself. Her wings opened wider, giving her balance. She placed her claws firmly on the metal floor. And then one more roar of fire left her chest. It was not gentle. It was not controlled. It was pure heart. The metal melted instantly. Evan moved faster than he ever had. He shaped the final curve. He hammered the last joint. He cooled the alloy in the small water tank beside him. When he lifted the piece, it shined like liquid sunlight. "It's done," Evan breathed. But at that exact moment, a metal panel above crashed open. A guard's flashlight shone through the crack. Voices echoed. "They are down there. We found them." Rayla spun around, wings raised, tail tense. Kiro cried out softly. Clinging to her. Evan grabbed the new alloy piece and stood in front of Ryla and Kiro. "We go now," he said. "If we reach the tower, we can fix it. And once we fix it, no one can blame you again." Rayla hesitated. "But the guards," Evan looked back at her with a mix of fear and courage. "Let them chase us. But they won't catch us." The tunnel shook as the guards began forcing their way in. Evan made a decision. "Follow me," he shouted. He ran toward the emergency ladder at the far end of the tunnel. Rayla pushed Kiro ahead and followed, her wings scraping the walls. The thunderstorm above screamed louder. The mining tower groaned like a dying beast. The guards kept shouting, "Stop! Don't let them escape! Hurry!" But Evan didn't look back. The human mechanic, the mother dragon, and her small son, all of them ran together into the storm, straight toward the collapsing tower. The emergency ladder rattled as Evan climbed first, holding the glowing alloy piece tight against his chest. Rayla followed behind him, pushing Kiro upward with her snout. Every second mattered. Dust fell from the ceiling. Metal groaned. The storm's roar was getting worse, like the sky was tearing open. Halfway up, Kiro slipped. Rayla caught him with her wing and whispered, "Hold on, little one. We are almost there." Above them, the hatch finally opened, and cold air rushed in. Evan climbed out first and reached back, pulling Kiro up with both hands. Rayla emerged last, her wings brushing the sharp metal edges of the opening. They had only seconds before the guards reached the ladder. Evan slammed the hatch shut and pulled a heavy toolbox over it. Then he grabbed Kiro's hand and started running toward the drilling tower. The ground shook with every step. Huge cracks split the earth. Sparks jumped from broken power lines. Smoke and fire rose like pillars around the colony. Ryla looked up at the tower. It leaned dangerously, almost like a giant tree ready to fall. Every worker had run away. Flames lit the metal like a dying sun. Evan did not slow down. "Follow me," he shouted. RHY spread her wings to shield Kiro from flying debris. She had to duck as a burning cable snapped above them and crashed into the mud. When they reached the base of the tower, Evan dropped to his knees. He inspected the giant anchor joints, the parts holding the tower upright. One joint was broken, completely twisted, and melted from the explosion. "That's the spot," Evan said, pointing. "I need to install the alloy there." Ryla looked at the huge, unstable structure. "The tower is falling. If you go under it—" "I know," Evan said simply. "It was a gamble. A big one." But he didn't hesitate. He slid into the narrow space under the tower, sparks and heat burning the air around him. The metal groaned above him like a living creature in pain. Ryla felt fear rise inside her chest again. Evan was brave. "Too brave. Let me help," she said. "You will," Evan replied. "When I say now, you push the tower with your wings. Don't lift it, just hold it steady for a moment." Rayla nodded slowly, though the idea terrified her. If the tower dropped too fast, it would crush her. Kiro tugged her wing gently. "Mama, please be careful." Rayla touched his cheek with her claw. "I will, little one." Evan began working. He hammered the glowing alloy piece into place. The metal hissed with heat. Sparks jumped out, landing on his arms. He didn't stop. He didn't even look up. Then the tower shifted. A loud, deep groan echoed through the colony. A giant beam sagged. Dust rained down. The whole structure leaned another inch. Evan shouted, "Ryla! Now!" Rayla took a deep breath, planted her claws firmly in the ground, and pushed her wings under the leaning metal. The weight was enormous. Pain shot through her back. Her legs shook. Her claws dug deep into the mud, but she didn't move. She held the tower in place with every bit of strength. She had Kiro cried out, "Mama, stop! It's too heavy." Rayla gritted her teeth. "I can do this. For you." Evan hammered faster. He attached the alloy piece, tightened bolts, and secured clamps with shaking hands. Sweat mixed with ash on his face. Every second felt like an hour. Another loud crack sounded above. A steel beam fell toward Ryla, without thinking. She moved one wing to shield Kiro just for a second. The tower leaned more. Evan shouted, "Hold it, Rayla. Just a little more." Ryla's wings trembled violently. She dug her claws deeper, pushing again with all her might. Her muscles burned. Her breath came in sharp gasps, but she held. Evan slammed the final bolt into place. "Done!" He crawled out fast, dragging the tools with him. "Rayla, move back!" Rayla stumbled away, pulling Kiro with her. They fell to the ground just as the tower groaned again. For a moment, it looked like it might collapse anyway. But then, the new alloy piece glowed bright red, then cooled into a steady metallic shine. The tower slowly straightened. It stabilized. Ryla lay on the ground, breathing heavily, her wings aching. Kiro hugged her tightly. Evan leaned against a broken pipe, his chest rising and falling fast. They had done it. The colony was saved. But before they could celebrate, angry shouts echoed behind them. The guards were back. And this time, they had weapons drawn. Evan stood up slowly, stepping in front of Ryla and Kiro. "This ends now," he said. The gamble had worked. The tower was safe, but the real battle was just beginning. The storm pushed against the colony like a wild beast. Lightning cracked across the sky, turning the world white for a moment. When the light faded, Evan, Rayla, and Kiro stood surrounded by guards with stun rifles pointed at them. The guards' leader, a tall man with a metal mask, stepped forward. His voice was cold. "There they are. The Dragon Mother and her kid. And the human helping them." Rayla spread one wing around Kiro without thinking. Her body shook from the tower's weight she had carried moments ago, but she still stood firm. Kiro pressed his face against her scales, terrified. Evan lifted his hands, not in surrender, but in defiance. "You don't need weapons. The tower is safe now. The leader scoffed. Safe? The dragons destroyed half the colony. Evan stepped forward so fast that even the guards flinched. No, they didn't. You ignored warnings. You refused repairs. And you blamed them to hide your mistake. The guards looked unsure. Some lowered their rifles slightly. Others exchanged quick glances. Doubt spread among them like a slow wave. The leader growled, "Silence, mechanic. You think they won't burn us all if we let them go?" Rayla lifted her head, eyes glowing with pain, anger, and pride. "I saved your tower. My fire repaired what your people broke." Kiro peered out from behind her wing. "And Evan saved me." He whispered. "Humans can be good." The leader snorted and gestured. "Enough of this. Arrest them." But before his men could move, a deep metallic groan echoed from above. The workers who had run earlier now slowly returned, gathering around the tower. They had seen the entire repair. They had watched Rayla hold tons of metal on her wounded wings. They had seen Evan crawl under fire and smoke to save them all. A woman worker shouted from the crowd, "She saved the colony." Another added, "We saw her holding the tower." And the human fixed the anchor. "They saved our lives." The guards hesitated. The leader turned, surprised by the crowd forming behind him. Evan didn't waste the moment. "Put your weapons down." He shouted, "Look at the tower. Look at what she did. Dragons didn't cause the explosion, you did, by cutting costs and ignoring repairs." The wind carried Evan's words across the colony. The workers nodded. Even the guards' expressions began to change. The leader's mask hid his frustration, but his voice cracked. "Shut up, all of you." Rayla stepped forward, her wings trembling but open. "If you want to hurt us, go ahead. But leave the child alone. I will not fight. I will not burn. I will not cause harm." Her voice was steady, honest, pure. Kiro hugged her leg tightly. "Mama, don't." But Rayla smiled softly down at him. "It is all right, little one." The crowd watched, breathless. Evan walked toward Rayla and stood at her side. "If you take them," he said to the guards, "you take me too." The leader's hand shook slightly. He had not expected this. Lightning cracked again. The wind screamed. Pieces of loose metal flew across the ground. And then a loud alarm sounded behind them. The tower's control room flashed green. The repair was working. The colony was stabilizing. One guard lowered his weapon completely. "Sir, maybe we were wrong." Another guard lowered his too. "The child is injured. The mother is hurt. They don't look dangerous." The leader turned sharply. "Pick up your weapons." "That is an order." But no one listened anymore. The storm had changed nothing. But Rayla's courage had changed everything. Evan took a step forward, his voice quiet but powerful. "Let's tell the truth. Let the colony know what really happened. Let everyone see what dragons can be." The leader looked around and saw he had lost control. The workers, guards, and even the storm seemed to stand against him. Finally, he dropped his weapon. Rayla let out a long breath. Her body relaxed a little. Kiro looked up at Evan with wide eyes full of hope. For the first time in her life, Rayla felt something new in the human colony, acceptance. Evan placed a hand on her wing and said softly, "Come with me. We need to get you both somewhere safe." But Rayla shook her head politely. "We must help finish repairs. You saved us. Now we help you." Evan blinked. "Help me?" Rayla spread her wings fully, despite the pain. Tonight, humans and dragons stand together. And for the first time in Oronos colony history, they did that side by side, equal, brave, united. Morning finally came to planet Oronos, but the colony didn't wake with its usual noise. Instead, people stepped out quietly, looking around with wonder. The storm had stopped. The drilling tower stood straight and strong again, its metal shining under the soft orange sunrise dot at the base of the tower. Rayla and Kiro sat on a flat rock while Evan checked their injuries. He dabbed a cloth gently on the scrapes along Ryla's wings and placed a warm heating pad on Kiro's cracked chest scales. "You should rest for a few days," Evan said softly. "Your wings took too much weight yesterday." Rayla smiled weakly. "I will rest, but only after making sure my son is safe." Kiro leaned against her warm side. He looked a little stronger this morning, but still tired. When he spoke, his voice was tiny. "Mama, are humans our friends now?" Rayla hesitated. The question felt heavy. But then she looked at Evan, who was kneeling beside them with worry in his eyes, and she answered gently, "Yes, little one. Some humans are truly our friends." As she spoke, a group of workers approached. Rayla tensed for a moment, but the workers were not holding weapons. Instead, they were carrying food packs, water flasks, and soft blankets. One worker stepped forward nervously. "These are for you. For the child especially. After what you did. This is the least we can offer." Rayla lowered her head in surprise. "Thank you." Another worker added, "You saved us all. If you ever need help, just call." Kiro's eyes widened. "Mama, they're being kind." Rayla nodded, a warm ache in her heart. "Yes, my son." Evan stood and looked at the workers. "She deserves a real job. A permanent one. And proper living quarters. And medical care for her child." The workers nodded. "We'll tell the council. We'll support it." This was something Rayla never thought she would hear in her life, but the biggest moment was still to come. Evan motioned for Rayla and Kiro to follow him to the workshop. Kiro rode on Ryla's back, smiling for the first time in days. When they reached the workshop, Evan pushed open the metal door. The inside looked different, clean, warm, bright. But the biggest change was in the back corner. A small workstation had been built, just Kiro's size. A raised table. Soft lighting. Tiny tools arranged neatly in a special drawer. A stool built for a dragon child. A safety blanket. A small heater. Kiro blinked. What is this?" Evan stepped forward with a gentle smile. "For you." Kiro stared at him, confused. "For me?" Rayla's voice trembled. "Evan, what have you done?" "I built him a place of his own," Evan said softly. "Somewhere safe. Somewhere he can learn machines if he wants. Somewhere he can be a child. Without fear." Kiro walked slowly toward the workstation. He touched the small tool set with shaking claws. His eyes filled with tears. "Mama, he made this for me." Rayla lowered her head to hide her own tears. "Yes, he did." Evan knelt beside Kiro. "You're brave. And smart. And gentle. I think you'll make a great mechanic one day, if that's what you want." Kiro suddenly jumped forward and hugged Evan's neck. "Thank you. Thank you." Evan froze for a moment, shocked by the warmth of the child's touch. Then he hugged him back very gently, careful not to hurt his cracked scales. Rayla watched with a heart full of emotions she couldn't name. She had been feared, rejected, insulted, and chased, but now she was seeing something she never imagined. A human and a dragon sharing trust. When Kiro finally let go, Evan turned to Rayla. "You both deserve better. And I will help you get it. You're not alone anymore." Rayla lowered herself until her head was level with his. "Thank you, Evan, from my heart." Before she could say more, a loud bell rang across the colony. Workers cheered as the council announced new rules. Dragons would be treated fairly, given equal work, equal pay, and equal safety. It was official. Things were changing, and everyone knew why. A mother's courage. A child's innocence. and a human who chose kindness over fear. As the sun rose fully, Kiro sat at his new workstation, holding the small tool with excitement. Rila stood behind him, wings relaxed at last. Evan checked the tower one more time, then turned to smile at them. That moment became a memory the colony would never forget. A humble mother dragon. A scared little child. A simple human mechanic. And a gesture that changed their whole world. Asterisk.